Hello, greetings, people of YouTube. How are you? How are you doing? My name is Michael Rubenfeld, if you were wondering. Hopefully, you're here because you follow me already. Or if you don't, but you've managed to land on this page, now might be the time to click like and subscribe because you're going to want to follow what I'm here to talk about long term. Or maybe you won't, but I would like you to subscribe anyways because it gives me a sense of my own self-worth. Because yes, I am a Canadian who lives in Poland, and I'm also Jewish. So I'm a Jewish Canadian Pole, and that is a lot of inferiority complexes jumbled together in a mishmash that produces a very specific, rare form of insecurity that exists in my heart. Now, if you're Polish, you're probably already getting defensive, because how dare I say anything about the Polish psychology? I'm not a real Pole. Nie mówisz po polsku, mówisz po angielsku, jeśli chcesz rozmawiać o Polaków, no o Polsce, musisz mówić po polsku, więc okej. Przepraszam, ale nie chcę, bo ten temat jest bardzo ważny, ale po polsku nie mogę mówić poważnie, nie. Anyways, I'm switching back to English because, gosh darn it, I feel more comfortable in English. And that's just the burden that I have to bear. Now, if you are Canadian, your response right now is, "Oh, inferiority. That's how you would describe us." Well, I'm sorry, but I think you're right, and I'm sorry for my inferiority complex. Did I mention that I'm sorry? Yeah, that's the joke about Canadians. I was actually at a bar this evening, and the woman serving me drinks asked me where I was from, and I said Canada, and she said I'm sorry. And it's interesting how free she felt in making fun of me because I'm Canadian, and how free I was in receiving it, because that is a very Canadian thing. People will make fun of Canadians openly, and Canadians will appreciate being made fun of so openly because, frankly, we're just happy to be getting some attention. Because when you're living just above the famous neighbor that we are, that would be America, people don't really care about you. And that's just the reality of being a Canadian. Now, then there's the third identity that I inhabit, who I have so overtly communicated as inferior, and that's the Jews. And yeah, I mean, we're an interesting bunch, the Jews, because we have a deep inferiority complex that somehow connects to the inferiority complex that Polish people have. It's out of oppression, it's out of trauma, it's out of sadness, it's out of the way we've been treated. We as a people have been treated badly throughout history, much like the Polish people. I think that the Jews have been persecuted more than the Poles, historically. And somehow the Jews have managed to survive. And you know what they say, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And so, yeah, there's not a lot of Jews in the world. but they've got a lot of success as a way of basically like combating not only their like inferiority complex, but their deep feelings of insecurity that, well, frankly, got us a whole goddamn country, Israel. Now, that's a whole other kettle of fish. I'm not here to talk about Israel. I'm here to talk about the Jews and the Poles. Not the Canadians, because who cares about the Canadians, right? But the Jews and the Poles, and something that I've been thinking about recently, which is something I was implying earlier, which is this connection that the Jews and the Poles have. And when I say connection, I don't mean connection in the kind of biblical sense, nor do I mean in the geographical sense even. I more or less mean in the post-oppressive sense. And what I mean by this post-oppressive state, I mean it's the state that the Jews and the Poles are post periods of great oppression. Now, that great period for the Jews began around the turn of the century, when the first significant wave of Jewish immigration to the New World began as a result of the pogroms of Europe. And then the second wave of immigration, being just sort of early 30s, pre World War II, and then, of course, those who managed to survive post World War II. And then there was this kind of like explosion of Jewish success, right? Because at that point, in this period of time, this like Jewish migration to the New Worlds, and when I mean the New Worlds, I don't mean like the European Jews. I mean North American Jews, Australian Jews, Israeli Jews. They had nothing to lose, especially post-Holocaust, right? I mean, you lost everything. Like, what more could you lose other than your life? And so the Jews began to thrive professionally because that's all they could do. Like, they had nothing. Jews had nothing. And so they worked to get something. And now they do. They do have something. They have a lot. And this is the part where I start to talk about the similarities that I see with the Poles. Poland is a pretty damn impressive country. It has been an impressive country, particularly recently. Of course, post-communism, it was kind of chaos. And, you know, there's still the like post-communist chaos that exists in Poland. But Poland, post-communism, this post-oppressive state had nothing to lose, right? And so Polish people went to work and they began working hard. Not all of them, of course. Some of them maintained kind of communist mentality. But what I see happening is that, like, New Poland is rigorous and people are working hard to earn money. And we see the growth in the Polish economy. And I think that it is a result of this kind of post-communist explosion. Poland had to kind of re-become itself, or it had to become its contemporary version of itself. It had to start to adopt new systems and understand capitalism. But now, you know, that Poland is in like the full swing of things, there is, I think, a reason that Poland's economy is doing so well and it's continuing to rise and go up and up and up. And it's because this Polish work ethic that is as a result of being sort of oppressed, prevented from being itself for so long. And I think that's where we see the similarity with Jews, you know, the success of Jews in post-oppressive states and the success of Poles in post-oppressive states. Now, the Jews have been at it longer than the Poles because they've been, quote unquote, freer for longer. But I think that, we're only 30 years post-communism, but wow, Poland is pretty amazing in terms of its economic growth. There are other places where I think it needs to grow, but Donald Tusk recently said that in the next 5 years, he believes Poland, as a result of its relationship to the EU, combined with this Polish work ethic, Poland's going to be wealthier than the UK, which flabbergasted me. I don't know if that's true or not, but even the fact that it gave me pause and made me think, that might be true, is fascinating, right? If we think about the journey that Poland's gone on post-communism to now. But I do think if it's not in the next 5 years, it's in the next 10 years. And like in the next 15, 20 years, the balance is going to change. And Poland's going to start to have the kind of wealth that's going to make it a real player in the world, which is fascinating. And it's happening already. We see the number of corporations opening up in Poland. We see the wealth growing. And I think it's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of. Just as I could imagine Israel was a really exciting thing to be a part of at a certain point in history, I think it's evolved to the point where it's so expensive. It's very difficult to live in Israel now. And I'm not talking about the war or anything. That's not what this is about. I'm just thinking about kind of economic growth, work ethic, post-oppressive peoples, and how these like inferiority complexes are resulting in a kind of superior future. I don't even know if I like the word superior or inferior. I'm not sure if this is the right kind of language to be using, but I think that you get the picture. So that's what this is about. In the spirit of capitalism and work ethic, I work darn hard on these videos, and I would love your support. So please like and subscribe. And if you really want to support me, consider supporting me through my Patreon. It is patreon.com/Michael Rubenfeld. Somebody recently pointed out that Polish people are more used to Patronite than Patreon. I opened a Patronite, but then someone there was like, this is only in Polish for Polish people, whereas a Patreon can be for Polish people and other people. So you can donate to me through Patreon with zloty. So don't be afraid if you don't understand it. It's pretty simple. Or if you just want to continue to watch my videos, sit in the shadows and enjoy or not quietly, you're welcome to do that too. And I love you for that as well. Goodbye from Poznan, where I've just completed the first of 4 performances in this set for my production of Altenheim. We perform tonight, which is Thursday, the 9th, tomorrow, Friday, the 10th, with a break on Saturday, and then on Sunday, the 12th of May, we're also performing. So if you're watching this video somewhere in this time frame and you're in the Poznan area, please come to the Teatr Nowe and see my show Altenheim. Love you, and do zobaczenia.